Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Blake Majerzak and Mike Iverson.
Hi, welcome into Off the Board. I'm Blake. He's Mike. We're going to talk about some picks and bets and how bad we did last week. And it's going to be so much fun. And I am happy to be here. I'm Blake Majerzak.
I'm Mike Iverson. I am doing great. I couldn't be doing better. You know, I love these days. We're starting at 5:30. I'm awake. It's not 9 o'clock. I'm not sleeping.
Who
coming
likes
off
my
a
new job more, you or me?
Oof, that's a tough one. It's like a minus 110 on both sides on that one. I don't know.
It's like a coin toss in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a 50-50. It's beautiful. I mean, I get to go right from here. I'm going to go to the CC Stevenson hockey game, see some friends. And
at the opener?
That they've each played a game, I think. I know CC played St. Francis came down. They always have a scrimmage. St. Francis came down. So this will probably be their first official game, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you and Sean going?
Yes, I am meeting him there. We went to an exhilarating Novi Bloomfield Hills game last night, and then Stevenson Howell.
Was that after? Wasn't what the puck?
Yeah, it was right. We ripped that out in about a half hour and went right to the game. Got there for the national anthem. So
nice.
It's all good. Yes, it is.
So you got some trends I know you wanted to hit.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with those, or do you want to go into last week's slate before we do those?
Well, we've got that. So let's get into last week's slate. We'll kind of keep the pattern we've been doing. And like I said, I trimmed everything down so I don't ramble as much and I can get you out of here.
Beautiful. And you out of here. You got stuff to do too. It's not just a me problem. It's also a you problem.
It's an us problem.
So college, I sprayed the board and I went one game under 500. And Ole Miss, Georgia was an ugly game. Georgia is broken. Their game this week is something we're going to talk about. Yep. I actually texted Sean about this last night because I needed to get it off my chest. I asked him, this is in regards to Georgia, who has had a more disappointing season, Georgia or Michigan? And I still think it's Michigan, but Georgia's season, like for what they were expecting, it's been super disappointing.
All right, I don't know if it's me or what's going on here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I lost everything for a second there. So
who's had a more disappointing season, Georgia or Michigan?
I've got to go with Michigan because with Michigan, we're questioning everything from the coaching hire to no quarterback, whereas Georgia, you're not questioning everything. You're really wondering what's going on with Beck. But they're still winning big ball games. They're beating teams. They've got 2 losses. They're on the verge of still making the playoffs if they go on a run here. So it's by far Michigan in my book.
That game was ugly, and your under was never in question at all. No. This game, you and I were texting each other during the Colorado game, and I still don't understand how that game went over. But it did end up going over, and Colorado it was kind of close in the first half, but they really opened it up in the second half. So
yeah, and I, on the other hand, was going crazy when I was texting you because I got back to the hotel and the lady actually gave me full access. I had the controller, so I was in control of the TV in the lobby, which was awesome. And I was watching this game, and I'm like, it's almost. I told my wife, I said, I think the coach or someone has the under in this game because how you're getting 2 turnovers at the 10-yard line and you come away with 3 points. And that's when I started texting you because I turned off and I think the Alabama game came on. And that's when you're like, hey, it's at 68. And I'm like, get out of here. So I didn't see any of that, but I was reading about it. So that was, again, that was one I probably didn't deserve, but I'll take.
Indiana obviously won but didn't cover. I never thought Michigan was going to win that game, but I also never thought Indiana was going to cover. Like the first half was just like Indiana looked like they were starting to roll, but Michigan's defense really, really played well in the second half. I think I think their defense is kind of getting to even without their best player, Will Johnson. Like the defense is starting to look like I expected it to. Indiana's just a really good team, and I'm very excited for that game next week against Ohio State. I think Indiana has a legitimate chance to win that game because Ohio State's offensive line is so dog shit.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see it. That'll be a good one. Obviously, we'll have it on our board next week. But I listened to a podcast on the way into work, where it was after we had done ours the next day, whether I was going into work or I was just at home. And I wish I had heard it before because she hit it on the head where she took Indiana in the first half. She said they were going to come out and they were going to do things in the first half, and then they were going to coast through the second half. And that's kind of what ended up happening. And I was like, I wish I would have.
Michigan also made defensive adjustments, which it was like the first time this season they had done that because Wink just thinks that the same thing will keep working. Yes. So that was nice. That was refreshing. Bama smoked LSU. I was super excited to watch that game. And Brian Kelly just stinks. And he was pouting. And he was. Did you see he was complaining to the refs about Bama like blitzing towards the end of the game?
No,
Brian Kelly's the worst.
There's something wrong.
I want to. Like, I love LSU. I want to be an LSU fan. Like, if I could pick a second team in college football, it would be LSU. But Brian Kelly ruins all of that for me. He's the worst.
And I really wanted to watch that game. I wanted that game to be good. It just wasn't. That was just they got boat raced. That was awful. I'll take that under though.
I didn't watch a second of Penn State Washington because it was on Peacock. But Penn State won and covered easily. I mean, Washington only had like 6 points. So, you know,
that's the difference of them being on the road and them being home.
Yeah. And I got a double winner out of that. I don't know how many of those I've picked this year.
We've got some double action going on this week too. So let's watch.
I got a lot of double action this week. We're spraying the board. All right. NFL in review. Real quick. That Thursday night game was fantastic, and I'm happy that Cincy played for the win. Obviously, the cover happened. That game was never going under, Mike.
What do you mean? It was 7-7 with a minute left to go in the half. I went to bed dreaming of winning tickets. Are you kidding me? That was under the whole way. The fourth quarter, there were 7,000 points scored.
It was all the explosive.
Jeez.
Since he started hitting explosives, but those are two like of the most explosive offenses.
Yes. Yeah, I get
it's hard. It's hard. I mean, you're 100% right. I was
370 over 70-yard touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I think this sums up this board for me. 2-3, but we had a 7-7 game with a minute left to go in the first half. The Buffalo on the last play of the game goes over. Detroit on the last play of the game goes over. Eat it. That's how betting goes, and that's what happens. I would make every one of these bets again.
By the way, so in my actual account, I didn't bet the Detroit game until day of, and it went to 49, so I pushed.
Oh, I like.
Yeah. So that wasn't great for me. But Tomlin obviously as a dog covers, so I went against my own trend, and it bit me in the ass. More on that later. And did you watch any of the Rams Dolphins game? I had it on like a TV, but I ended up playing video games instead, so I didn't really watch much of it. It just looked like an awful game.
Yeah, I was in and out of consciousness, just out cold. Long weekend. That game came on, and I was the same thing with the Detroit game. I was in and out on that one too, so I didn't see much. But to me, that was the Miami team that I was kind of expecting there. They played much better, and you know they're not doing well, but they're on the verge of doing some stuff there if they can keep it together.
Oh, they're gonna be a spoiler team for sure. Like they're gonna like screw up somebody's playoff odds or something like that towards down the stretch.
Yes,
probably not Buffalo, and the Jets are already dead.
Oh, that team.
They're definitely dead, right?
Yeah, but they get bet again. They're 4. They're up to 4. They were up to 4-point favorites this week.
I know.
I'm telling you, the
I didn't
Sharps
touch
love
that
them
game.
some Jets. They're that team this year that everybody had so highly power rated. They just refuse to adjust it with the star power that's there, and it's just not happening. Like, I also can't bet on Anthony Richardson, so I stayed away from that game. But I can't believe that they were just creeping up all the way to 4-point favorites on that one.
How did the rest of your card look?
So
how'd the rest of your picks do?
So I was ripping about 100 miles an hour down the 401, and I sent you that text saying 0-2, not a great start, right? Like this could be that week. And it's always funny. I get this anxiety on Friday nights at going into Saturday, because as you know, I know nothing about 90% of the teams I'm throwing money on in college here, because I'm just a gambler. And I had that feeling. So 0-2 going into the weekend. I was 8-2 when I came out of the weekend. So I was 5-0 on Saturday, 3-0 on Sunday. Which I'll take it, because
if we're only counting weekends, you're at 100%.
Exactly. And now here's the worry: is I nailed Ball State earlier in the week. So now I'm going into the weekend 1-0. So this is where I come out 1-10.
Oh no. That is how it works too.
You would have loved it, because I was sitting at dinner and we just had a ton of time to kill. And I was talking with my wife and I said, hey, I just got to let you know, I've got money on this San Jose State team. I don't know their nickname. I don't know what's going on. I've got it on Air Force. I don't think Air Force covered all year, or they covered once. They covered the week before. They're 2-7. I was going over the bets. She goes, why did you do that? That's what the number said. And then we sat there and we were watching it, and it all turned around. So I'm like, this could be a long Saturday, but it wasn't. So how about you?
13-17 overall.
Okay.
Not great. Not terrible.
That's not terrible.
The NFL bets, I was like completely split. And then I was looking at this, like Iowa was never going to cover on Friday night.
Yeah. That was terrible.
If Purdue scored at all, that game would have went over. Ohio
terrible.
State had 45 on their own. Texas looked really good against Florida, so I was happy about that. And then South Carolina rolled against Vandy. And then that Tennessee under was never really in doubt. That was a winner for me. So that was good. And then that BYU Utah game. I don't know if you saw online, like on Twitter or anything.
I've seen the end. Yeah. I saw that.
So I live bet BYU.
Oh, okay.
Like
what was the number? Just on the money line.
210. Yeah.
Okay.
So I live bet it and won. But I had fallen asleep on the couch with it on, so I didn't see the end. I woke up, I was like, "Oh, winner! This is great."
That is awesome. Yeah,
that was had one of those... minus the 3.5, but that obviously didn't hit. But then
I couldn't get that game. But I gotta tell you, like if you throw money on 30 games and go 13-7, that's pretty good. That's probably beating the odds when throwing money on 30 games. So
yeah, 13-17.
Hats off to you. And especially so, what we've been leading into before we get to all of what we're going to do, I've been all over the fact that the public's just been having 5 straight weeks. It came to an end. I think that's part of that 8-0 weekend. The dogs were barking. They were 10-3. Dogs of 5.5 or more in the NFL were 6-2. Unders went 9-5. With those numbers, I'm not going to go undefeated. I just happen to, but I'm going to have a good week. And what also is coming to a halt was teams with 60% of the bets, right? For 5 weeks, they were 26-15. That is the crux of me getting punished right there. Because as you hear when I say they've got 60% of the bets, I'm fading them. I'm going the other way. They were only 4-4 last week. So it looks like it's maybe starting to turn around. Maybe some of that parity we were talking about is going to come back to this terrible NFL.
Well, that's a lot of big spreads too. I mean,
yes,
NFL,
there was.
There was a lot of big numbers. Yep. I think we talked about that on the show last week. There was a lot of big numbers.
8 games over 5.5 spread. So that's
a lot
pretty
in the
good.
NFL.
All right, so go for it.
No, you got what were you
I was
gonna say,
just going to say, if we're compressing things, you want me to throw these trends out here?
Yeah. Well, let me. Todd, do you have the records just real quick? We'll show
yeah.
that just so we can see how bad I am. Actually, I think I went 500,
Okay.
so that's exactly the same.
Yep, that's we both went 500.
I went up.
So we're there.
I went up one.
There we go. I like it. I like it. I'm creeping. I need that big week to hit 500.
Oh, you're gonna get that, no doubt. All right, let's see some trends. Let's hear about these.
They were. I try to keep them to our show bets or something. They're really and I like them when they're big, 100%, 80%, or they jump off the board. There just wasn't a bunch. And I gotta tell you, there's a team on here, and I'll mention it when I get there. That they just might as well be the trend team, but I'll say when I get there. So to start here, we're going to start with our hometown team. All right. Teams that have lost 3 games in a row and are playing a team with a winning record are hitting at 66% when they are a dog of 5.5 or more. Jacksonville's a dog of 14. That's a trend helping out there, looking at leaning Jacksonville. Crazy. So if you like Jacksonville, that's a pretty good one there.
Yeah.
Now, here's one, and this is what everyone's talking about that favors your Lions. A team after a game with 5 turnovers, they're only 24%. Oh, that doesn't favor them. There's only 24% against the spread. That's also going with Jacksonville and 14 points in the NFL. It's almost like an auto bet. That's a lot of points for an NFL game.
Also, Jared, your MVP ticket's dead, right? You can't throw 5 picks in a game and win the MVP.
It is looking bad. It's not dead. It's
okay.
Like it's on life support. It's on life support for sure. He's got to have a couple big games. Thanksgiving, when everyone's watching, has got to be huge. And then I don't know. Do they have another primetime game?
San Fran.
So if he comes
San
out,
Fran, I think, is a primetime.
So if you think about it, last year, Lamar won it with that Thanksgiving or was it Thanksgiving or Christmas, that game against San Francisco.
San Fran. Yeah. Christmas Day.
So he's got to have that big game. So we'll jump up to the Monday night game here. In the last 23 Monday night games with a home dog, 82% to the under. Ooh, so come Monday night, you got a little change to spread on there. So that looks like the under in the Houston-Dallas game. Now, this is the one I'm talking about. Do we go through a week without a Tomlin trend? I don't think we do.
He's he's a very trendy guy.
He is very trendy.
Wears those cool sunglasses and everything.
He the cop shades. I like the aviators. Isn't that what they call them? Isn't that what the kids call them?
Yes.
Pittsburgh is 5-0 straight up in the last 5 games against Baltimore as a dog. Harbaugh. So let's get off of Tomlin. Get on Harbaugh. Harbaugh is 0-10-2 against the spread when favored by 3 or more points against Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yes. Wow. So that's look at you thinking here now. What do we got going here? And then real quick, there was nothing really I could find that interested me in the NCAA except for it's a different version of the 2-ranked team. When the 2 ranked teams are playing and the home team is a double-digit favor, that under is hitting at 73%. That's both 2 of them in our show bets, the Mizzou and the Gamecocks, and Tennessee and Georgia.
That Mizzou, South Carolina, that is not a ranked game. Missouri is not a ranked team. I don't care what the AP says. I don't care what the College Football Playoff Committee says. That team is awful. Awful.
Hey, but that's how it is. As you get towards the end of it, there's some bad football teams.
I never believed in SEC bias until this year.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Missouri is ranked and they're an SEC team, and that's the only reason, because they play a tough SEC schedule. They stink. They are awful. They should not be ranked.
There's going to be, even now that they have 500 teams in the playoffs, they are still going to be arguing about how is this team. I mean, it happens. Brand name, it happens. It's going to happen.
Well, so I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but when the rankings came out, the first team out this week is Georgia. And then the second team out is SMU. SMU only has 1 loss.
Yeah.
And they've looked really good all year.
Yes.
Georgia, who has looked like dog water besides the Texas game.
Yep.
And
That's
still, the Texas game, they did not have a good night offensively. Their defense won them that game.
Yep.
So,
yeah, we'll have to hit that. That's a whole show to itself once we get down there.
yeah, I don't need to go on. That's a rant and a half. All right, on to this week's picks. I'm very excited. This college slate is stinky, and that means there will be chaos. There will be chaos. I can almost guarantee it. Something will happen that we don't expect. I had a very hard time picking like our big 5 games of the week, though. But I figured it out. I think I got a good mix of conferences and a couple teams.
Oh, you did.
A couple teams that we haven't talked a lot about. A couple teams that we have talked a lot about. But game 1 will start. This is a huge game in the ACC. Clemson at Pitt. Clemson is 10.5-point favorites on the road. The over-under here is 53.5. I'm just going to take the under here.
Okay.
I think I don't know what the numbers say on this, but in my mind, I think people think of both these teams as high-scoring teams. Especially Pitt this year has been a pretty high-scoring team. But I don't trust Cade Klubnik on the road for sure. And Pitt's been kind of up and down. So I like the under here, 53.5.
That's a nice one. You would be on the pro side there. You got 35% of the bets, but 83% of the money on that under, baby.
That's what
it makes me wonder why I'm not on it. I'm picking a side in this game. I when you sent this one, I couldn't believe this line. It's like people forget how good Pittsburgh was to start this year and how bad Clemson looked to start this year. Now we're at Pittsburgh and we're giving them 10.5 points. Look, and even with that, bettors are split on this one. They don't know whether to lay it with the ranked Clemson Tigers or to take that home field and Pitt and what they saw in the beginning of the year. It's almost an even split. But despite that split in bets, there's a slight liability in money that's dropping this 12.5 to 10.5. And that's reverse line movement. That's smart money. I'm going to take Pittsburgh in the 10.5 points.
I don't hate it. I really don't. There's just a chance that Pitt's defense kind of collapses, which also wouldn't help. Like, I feel like for Pitt to win, the under has to hit. If Clemson wins, it's because they just boat raced them. So I feel like as we're not on the same side here, we're kind of on the same side here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We have
and I tell you,
thoughts.
You did a great job. Like I think there's only one game in the total of 10 that you threw at me that I have in my account. And these are all games. They really don't fit me, but I can find an angle in here.
Yeah. Next we have Michigan State going to beautiful Champaign, Illinois. Illinois is favored by 2.5 points. The over under here is 47.5. Mike, you go ahead on this one.
All right. This one is where the public's taking a look at this game. I'm going to go on the side. The public sees Illinois. They've got the better record, the better offense, and the better defense. They think this line's too low, despite 80% of the bets are on Illinois. That they're hammering them. They're throwing it down. But this line opened 3.5 and moved down to 2.5. I'm going to side with that reverse line movement. And I've got to tell you, there's something about this Michigan State team I like. I like the way they played Michigan. I like the way they started out with Indiana. They're showing the kinks of being a new team. There's a couple players out there that I like. So I really like them going down there to Champaign and covering the spread.
Call me public, Blake.
All right.
I'm on Illinois, and I'm also on the under, though.
Okay.
I actually agree with you somewhat. I think Childs is electric. Nick Marsh is very good. MSU's D-line has played way above what I thought it would be this year. I just think Illinois is still a much better team.
Yeah.
The thing that would screw me on the under, especially here, would be, but Illinois would win, would be if Childs goes turnover mode again. And he's calmed it down. He really has. But that you get what you get out of him. That's the type of athlete and the type of player he is. He's gonna have some turnovers. Like that's just inevitable. It's like Baker Mayfield. You're gonna have some turnovers, but he's gonna get you in
Jameis Winston.
position to
He's
win
gonna
the game.
entertain you. He's gonna entertain you.
I love Jameis so much. You know that. But yeah, I think Illinois is the better team. I mean, this is a team a couple weeks ago, before the Penn State game was really rolling, and they looked really good, and they were ranked. So 2.5 points. If it was even 3.5, 4, I would probably stay away from it. But at 2.5, I like Illinois.
I've got to see what this line came out early. Go ahead. I was going to say, I'm going to look something up.
No, you're good. You're good. Next game, we got South Carolina hosting Missouri. South Carolina is 13.5 point favorites. The over-under here is 43.5. I don't know if anyone was listening before I went on it. I yelled about how bad Missouri is. South Carolina has been playing incredible. They beat our darling Vanderbilt last week.
Yes, they
smoked
did.
them. Beat
they
the
taught them
shit out of them.
Yep.
South Carolina minus the 13.5. Got to do it.
All right. Got to do it. I like them. I like the way they play.
Missouri team so much.
I like the way they play, and I think we mushed Missouri in the beginning of the year talking about their coach and the way he loves to throw up those points. So I'm going to go to the total here. And the public sees two teams. They average 58 points a game combined. Now, again, this just gets into one of those math problems for the public. 58 is bigger than 43. This game's got to go over. These teams have scored 30, 44, 35, 45 points in the last 4 weeks. This is an easy over. 89% of the bets are on that over, Blake. However, this over has dropped from 44 to 43. The books have taken a side with this, and they're going to need this under. So I'm going to help them out by taking this under 43.5. And as good as you think these offenses might be, these are two pretty good defenses. And that's what I'm going to be banking on.
Yeah. Next game, probably the best game of the weekend. Tennessee is at Georgia. Georgia is 10.5 point favorites. The over-under here is 48.5. Mike, you go ahead and start on this one.
I'm going to go to a total here. I'm sure I'm going to shock everybody with that one. I was looking at Georgia. Georgia kind of has fallen off the public train and stuff. I just didn't like where that line was going. So I'm going to stick with a total here. And the public is split on this total. They're confused. Are these offenses that average 68 points a game going to show up? Or is this going to be an SEC slobber knocker? They don't know whether to take the over or to take the under on this. But if that happens, right, 50-50, this line really shouldn't move. This line opened 49. It's dropped as low as 48. It's frozen right now at 48.5, as low as 48. I'm going to take that under. I'm taking that little bit of movement. I'm going to take that as the sharp side of things, and that's where I'm going to go with this one. There's a liability on that under. I like to go with that.
I am also on the under with you, but I'm also going to take Tennessee plus the 10.5. I just think Georgia's broken right now. Carson back. I don't know if Nico's playing.
Okay.
I believe enough in Tennessee's defense.
All right.
And Georgia's offense is so broken right now. They're so bad. And Tennessee still has the better run game in this game too. So if they decide, hey, we don't have Nico, but we're going to play ball control, we're going to slow the game down, and we're going to keep our defense off of the field, I just like that. And it's a full 10.5. And Georgia should not be favored by 10.5 against anyone right now, especially a top 5 team like Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I hope Nico plays. That would be very helpful to my pick. But
hey, it'd give us a game to watch when you get back from the.
If Nico plays, if they think he's playing, this line isn't 10.5 though, right?
To me, that's what that's saying. And there was a guy I was listening to early in the week, and he follows a respected group that puts out power numbers, and by their power numbers, this was a 4.5 point game. So for him, 100%, he was saying he's not playing.
Yeah, that's a shame because I would love to see him play. Just for like football reasons, not for gambling reasons.
Entertainment.
And then the last game of the week is Oregon at Wisconsin. Oregon is 14-point favorites on the road. The over-under here is 51.5. I'm going to lay it with Oregon. I think Oregon is a wagon. Wisconsin is not good in my opinion. And I'm also going to take the over. I think Wisconsin, especially garbage time, will put up a little bit of points. But I think Oregon, should put up 35 plus in this game.
Yep.
So that's
all
where
right.
I'm at.
So we're battling on this one.
This one where I noticed we are fighting here.
We are fighting here, and not only fighting that, but we're fighting with. I think this might be my first double on the board here. I'm going both. I just have this vision. I did this, if you remember, in the Wisconsin Penn State game, that 7:30 game. Madison at night is a different place. They pull some upsets there at this time. I'm not saying they're going to upset them, but I'm going to go on the side. I'm going to go on a total here too. The public is laying the wood with you, Blake, laying the wood to the over and laying the wood to Oregon. They're all over them to the tune of 90% of the bets are on Oregon. Are you kidding me? There's 65% of the bets are on the over. However, that line has not moved from 14. It's been there. The total dropped from 53 to 51, even though there was 63% of the bets on that, 65% of the bets. The sharps in the book are just fighting Blake and the public on this one. I'm with the books. Give me that Wisconsin plus 14 and give me the under.
Where what's going to happen here, right?
Oh, yeah. It's going to split.
We're going to split.
Yeah.
Yep. Oregon's going to win and the under's going to hit. That's what's going to happen. Todd, can we clip that so that when it does happen? Good. I want to be Nostradamus Blake here. Just real quick. Let me roll through these. Of course, I have way too many picks for how bad of a slate it is, but that's where we are. Friday night, UCLA at Washington. I like the under 46.5 there. Texas minus 12 at Arkansas. I think Texas coming off of that bye, and clearly Quinn looks back to normal with that rest. So I like him and Texas to roll against Arkansas. Arkansas has been frisky this year, but anything under 2 touchdowns, I like it. Colorado minus 11.5 at Utah or versus Utah. They are at home. Utah is a different team when they're at home. First of all, we saw it with the BYU game, and second of all, I think coming off of that letdown spot with the BYU game, the Holy War rivalry, Colorado has just looked really good, man. They've stayed healthy, which is huge for them. So I'm going to keep riding Colorado until the wheels kind of fall off on that. And Colorado still has something to play for. I mean, they are right in the hunt for the Big 12, which if you're in the hunt for the Big 12, you're in the hunt for the playoff. So Ohio State minus 28.5 against Northwestern. Northwestern is just not good. And Ohio State has to keep rolling. Every game's just at noon. Nobody's watching it, but that's where we are with them. Stanford plus 20.5 against Louisville. They're at home. That east to west coast. 20.5 is a lot of points.
Fully jumped off that train.
It's not. No, that's a travel one. That is not a Louisville one because it's a east to west coast one.
Okay.
And 20.5 is just way too many points. Stanford's not good. They're bad, but 20.5 is a lot for all that travel. Boston College plus 19 at SMU. The ACC, SMU is not that good of a team. BC is going through a lot right now. I guess their starting quarterback just entered the portal, Thomas Castellanos, who was an electric player, but he's leaving. So keep an eye on that. If they got other guys, throughout the day tomorrow and stuff that are planning on leaving, maybe stay away from it. But as of right now, plus 19, I like. Penn State minus 28.5 against Purdue. Purdue stinks. We saw that with Ohio State. We see how close Ohio State and Penn State were as teams. Ohio State just beat them by 45. So 28.5. That's fine. We'll lay it.
Yeah.
LSU at Florida under 54.5. Just a bunch. There's going to be a bunch of turnovers in this game. It's going to stink. No one wants to watch it. And then West Virginia plus 2.5 against Baylor. West Virginia is a home dog against Baylor. If it's a tight spread in the Big 12, just take the dog. It's going to be a tight game. Yeah. That's just how the Big 12 is. It's an agent of chaos.
They're close. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of close games. And if by Saturday, if that game gets out to 3.5, 100% roll with that. But at 2.5, maybe buy it to 3.
Yeah. I'm just going to warn you, Blake, so you don't fall out of your chair here as I go through my picks that are in my account, both NCAA and later in the NFL. I actually have as many overs as I have unders.
Wow.
And I have 2 favorites. So I've got a drunk. Not only do I have an over, Blake, I have at least, I know it's the biggest number on the board this week, and it could be of the year. I don't know if I've seen one a number like this. So let's get to this here. I'm going to start tomorrow night with a couple of games. The Wyoming-Colorado State game. The public sees the home teams on a 4-game win streak with a better record. That's Colorado State. And the 10 points, they don't think that's enough here. So, however, despite 67% of the bets on Colorado State, this line moved from 10.5 to 10 and then stayed there. With 67% of the bets, that line should have been moving in the opposite direction. I'm siding with that reverse line movement. I got Wyoming plus 10. The second game tomorrow, Blake, seriously, hold on to your seat here. I'm going with the total in the North Texas UTSA game. The public relies on the popular stats, right? When they're looking to bet, I got to find the popular stats, and these stats don't add up. The public looks and says these teams only average 65 points a game. That's a lot, right? But let's do the math. 65 is less than this total, which is 72, Blake, right? So that's math. That's math. That doesn't add up. My math adds up and says 66% of the bets are on this under. They're on the under. Like, what's going on here? But this total has moved from 68 to 72. That tells me my math, sharp money's on the over. I got North Texas UTSA over 72, Blake. Let's go. Let's go.
Highest total probably of the year. You take the over.
And I'm taking the over.
It's the same logic I had like last year with Iowa unders. Like it was the lowest number ever in college football.
And you're going under.
I had to take the under.
Yep. So the next one I'm really excited about. This was my first bet of the week. I'm going to the New Mexico-Washington State game. All I'm hearing on the shows I listen to is Washington State's the better team. And it's an easy one for the public. 13 points isn't enough. They think that the 18th ranked 8-1 Washington State team is going to pound Rocco Mendenhall's New Mexico Lobos, right? However, 86% of the bets are on this. This line opened at 14.5. I wish I woke up early enough to get it. It's down to 10.5. I still like it at the 10.5. I got it at 13. So give me New Mexico plus 13 in that game. Another one. So now I'm going back to a team that beat my butt last week. What about my only loss in college? I'm going to go to the Coastal Carolina Marshall game. The public sees Marshall. They're on a 3-game win streak, and they're at home. They think this is going to be an easy cover. They've got a majority of bets and money. So there's a huge liability for the book on here. This line opened at 8.5, and it's sitting at 8 right now. I actually found it. It cost me 3 cents to buy it up to 9. I'm going to take that reverse line movement. I'm going to side with the book. I got Coastal Carolina plus 9. But I would take it at 8.5.
Didn't they just burn you?
They just burned me. They just burned me. I think they've actually burned. Sure. I want to say they've burned me 2 of the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
But here's the team. This is where I'm going to get back in. Like I said, I was sitting at the bar talking to my wife about this lovely San Jose State team, and I already forgot. Are they Spartans?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. I remembered. It took me a while. I'm going to the San Jose State Boise State game. This one is another one. I love easy games. The public's looking at this. Boise State's going to make the playoffs. Ashton Genty's going to go for 505 touchdowns. This is an easy cover. 14's not enough points. Well, guess what? 87% of the bets are on Boise State. This line moved from 14 to 13.5. I love this. This is one I took real early early in the week. I got San Jose plus 14. I would still take them at 13.5 at home. I think this is going to be a fired up crowd to see them take them down. Genty's still going to get 3, right? I just need 28 points.
Lately, he slowed down a little bit.
But they want the Heisman. This is getting into it. Cam Ward's falling off. All he has to do is have a good game, and he's going to jump up. So that's an interesting market.
I think it's Hunter no matter what. But.
Okay. That's a possibility. That's a possibility. But he's at like even money. My last game, I'm going to the North Carolina Wake Forest game. I watched this line all week. I wished it would have moved the wrong way, so I didn't have to take it, but I didn't. I think the public's looking at this, and it's pretty even. The bets are pretty much even. They don't know whether to take the 10.5 points with Wake Forest or to give it with NC State. However, with a split in bets, it should stay, right? It opened at 10. It moved to 11. That's telling me that the smart money and the books are looking at supporting that the North Carolina State. North Carolina, it's not North Carolina. I'm taking North Carolina minus 10.5. I don't like it. I usually don't lay that many points, but the numbers didn't change all week, so I'll take it.
I just want to be very clear. I wouldn't watch that game with your eyeballs. Let alone.
I'm not. You think I'm watching that? I ain't watching that game. That's one where I don't even know what time that game is at. I think it's a night game, so I will wait till the morning before.
That sounds like a prime time ACC network game,
right?
Or no, it might be the 4:30 CW game. Because the ACC has a weekly CW. I'm gonna look now because I have to be sure about that. You ready to get into some?
Yeah,
NFL?
Let's get into this. We're doing pretty good here. I think
so too. Todd, how are we? Good or bad? We're good. Okay.
Yeah, we got 15 minutes. We got this.
Game 1 is Thursday night tonight. Today's Thursday, right? Yeah. My days are so mixed up. I'm all over the place.
You'll get used to it.
We got Washington at Philly. Philly is 4-point favorites against this upstart Washington team. The over-under here is 48.5. I will get us started here on this beautiful. There's 3 really good NFL games this week, and none of them are the primetime games either.
That's what's beautiful about it. I wish they got out of this only 3 games in the 4:00 slate thing, but I'm going to take it. I'll be on the couch all day.
Commanders, I am going to roll with them. Plus the 4. It's just a lot of points. I could see this being a field goal game. I could also see Washington just straight up winning this game. So I think it'll come down to the wire. I like Washington in this spot.
I don't mind that one. I'm going at the total here. And what got me thinking about the total was on the way into work today, I was listening to a podcast, and the guy just simply said, sometimes when the over looks too obvious, that means you got to go under. And I think that's what the public is looking at. The public's looking at this. These teams average a combined 55 points a game. They think this is going to be an easy over. A.J. Brown is healthy. When A.J. Brown is healthy and playing, I think Philadelphia averages with themselves close to 30 points. However, 68% of the bets are on that over, and this line has dropped from 49.5 to 48.5. I've got to take it. I follow the money. I follow the smart money and those reverse line movements. I'm going under 48.5.
Thursday night game under makes total sense to me, except for when it's Cincy and Baltimore, obviously.
Especially when there's 14 points scored the entire first half.
Just real quick, I also wanted to shout out. I think this is the highest viewership we've had in the show since like the beginning of it, probably. There's like 120 people watching right now. If you got any picks or anything you want to throw out in the chat, we would love to see them. Talk about them a little bit. So throw them in there. And while you're at it, give us a like. Go check us out on Facebook, YouTube, all the socials and everything.
So
I
feel like
check out all the. Yeah, well, and that's when we're gonna fail.
So,
that's how it goes.
So we have to put that disclaimer out with that many people. That means there's some new viewers that these games we're going over, and you're seeing up on the board here. These are leans. These aren't necessarily picks. We're just going over the games that we think people will be watching and give them something to talk about and some leans. Then after that, our picks that are actually our locks that we will have in our accounts as we're talking right now.
And some of these may be locks as well.
We will let you know. We will definitely let you know.
Yes. For me, generally just assume that they're locks because I spray the board. That's just how I do it. Mike's a little more calculated than I am.
I'm not gonna worry about
Next game, we have our Steelers.
Yeah.
Our Steelers at home against the Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 3 on the road, and the over-under here is 48.5. Yeah, I know. It's all good, Todd. You were hurrying. Mike, you go ahead and start us out on this one.
I mean, anyone that's watched the show just knows I'm on the Tomlin train, and it's just like whoop whoop all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the bettors are split on this. This actually is like almost perfectly everything 50-50 on this. They don't know whether to lay the points with Baltimore, to take those points with Pittsburgh. However, again, this line opened up 3.5. It dropped down to 3. It could be that 3 and 3.5 battle. However, Pittsburgh is 5-0 straight up. We just went over this, right? 5-0 straight up when they're a dog against Baltimore. Harbaugh cannot cover or beat Baltimore to beat Pittsburgh when they are the favored by 3.5 or more. That's exactly what's going on here. I'm riding that Tomlin train all the way through. Give me Pittsburgh in the points.
Tomlin as a dog. There's nothing else to say. Tomlin as a dog. Also, I'm going to take the over in this game because I think, first of all, Pittsburgh's offense has looked a hell of a lot better since Russell Wilson became the starter, which I did not expect whatsoever because I thought he was broken.
Yes.
And obviously Baltimore can score a lot of points, but Pittsburgh, plus you're giving me a full field goal at home. Hell yeah. Let's go. I love it. Next game. The game you touched on earlier, the Lions. The Lions are at home against a broken Jacksonville team. They are favored by 13, which is insane to see it as an NFL spread. Over under here is 46.5. I'm gonna lay it.
Yeah,
I don't think that the Lions can have 2 performances like that. Dan Campbell will not allow that to happen. And I'm also going to take the over because Lions overs are just they're locks right now.
Yeah. And I think anyone that's sane would agree with you. This game stinks about as much as the Tennessee game when they came in. And the difference with in the game is Jacksonville's firing their coach after this game. It's basically guaranteed. This team, this is the game that they are going to quit on him. I just need their defense to not want to get too embarrassed because that's where I'm going. I'm going on the total on this one. Just exactly what you said. This is a lopsided game. The public sees this. The public sees the Lions themselves have scored 94 points, right, in their last 2 home games. Or wait, their last 2 home games, they've scored 94 points combined. They think that this is going to be an easy over, just like the Tennessee game. The Lions may push this over by themselves. 58% of the bets are on the over, but this line has dropped from 48.5 to 46.5. I'm going to take that reverse line movement every time, especially when it goes one direction. That line has moved one way, and this is one of my triggers. It goes one way, and it never comes back the other way. That's something I'm going to be on. I'm taking under 46.5. I don't know if I would take it in my account at 46.5. Not that there's that big of a difference. I do have this in my account, but I took this right away at 48.5 when it came out because I'm like, there's no way this line's going to stay like this because Lawrence is not going to play. There's no way. You're talking about season-ending surgery already. This team is going to quit. I just need some defense to step up to keep this game under 48.5 for my account. But for the show,
and that's a key number. That's a key number, 48. So I don't disagree with that at all. On to the next game. By the way, I just realized looking at my picks, I'm addicted to overs this week. Kansas City at Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 2 points. The over-under here is 46. Go ahead, Mike.
All right. I mean, we got to make this one quick. So this is what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm going to all these teams, Coastal Carolina, all these teams that have killed me in the past. And I did it again. I know Mahomes is 1,000,000 when he's a dog on the road, all these things. But Kansas City's luck has to run out. I mean, I've got numbers that'll support this. 58% of the bets are on Mahomes. They love it. They know he's going to cover as a dog. But yet the Bills have gone from +1 to -2.5, dog to fave. I'm going to take that all the time. But I'm going to base this also on Kansas City's luck has got to run out. They can't block field goals, get every penalty, get every turnover. And when 8 of their wins are they 8-0 or 9-0? I think they're 9-0. 8 of their wins are comeback wins. And here's a stat for you, Blake. If you took every one possession win in the NFL this year, you follow? Every game that's finished within one position, and you flipped the score so the other team would win, you know who would be the last place team in the AFC? The Kansas City Chiefs. So that's again, I'm not taking anything away from them. They've won all these games. That's just not sustainable the way they're doing it. And everyone has been saying Mahomes is down this year. This isn't their best team, but they just keep winning. They robbed me of my over 5.5 Denver wins last week. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. Give me Buffalo -2.
Patrick Mahomes is final. Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. Patrick Mahomes is the final boss.
Yeah.
And when he is a dog, I will take him every time until it proves me wrong. I can't. And I'm on the over here too, because I agree.
You're the overtaker.
Yeah, I am. Buffalo, I think Buffalo's offense is the best we've seen it in probably 2-3 years. Their offense is rolling. Kansas City will have to score some points in this game. And you're talking about now he has had another week with Hopkins, which has helped Kelsey, which has helped Worthy, which has helped everything on that offense. So I think that Kansas City first of all, I 100% agree with what you say, but their offense eventually has to click.
Yes.
And
and when it does,
I'm betting on it. It will this week. So
and when it does, look out.
Exactly. On to the last game, Sunday Night Football. This is a very hard game for me to pick. I want you to know, because this is two loves of my life. Joe Burrow against Jim Harbaugh. One man that I love, one man that I miss, and I love. It's just it's a very difficult time for me. But in this spot, you know who is undefeated on the road this season?
Undefeated on the road, Cincinnati.
Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Where's this game played at? It's in LA.
Yeah.
And they're dogs, +1.5. I will take the Bengals +1.5. And I'm also taking the over on this game.
All right. Yeah. So we'll die together on this one, Blake. This game, you did a very good job picking games that really didn't match any of my systems. That's why I've only got one of these games in my account. This game matches none of my systems, exactly what I wrote here. So I'm just hopping on board with the public. I'm going with 67% of the bettors here. I'm going with Blake. I'm going with the over. The good news is we also have a majority of the money. So it's still a sharp split, 67 to 85 in the bets to money. This is one on that same podcast where it said if the over looks too obvious, it'll go under. That they said the Bengals offense is that good and their defense is that bad that this game should go over, even with Jim Harbaugh, who is the Undertaker himself. And he's going to run this ball. He's going to control this clock. He's going to keep why did I just forget Herbert? He's going to keep his pass. There's the Undertaker.
I miss him so much.
He's gonna limit Herbert's passing, so he limits the mistakes that this guy makes. This game is most likely going to go over, but I'm going to side with that split, and I'm going over 46.5.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I mean the Chargers have been such an under team, but the Bengals have been such an over team this year. That was my thought. And Herbert has looked like that offense is finally like he's had good numbers. They just haven't been putting up the points. Last week they started putting up points. So real quick, I only have 4 NFL like locks this week. Titans and Vikings under 39.5. I like that. The Vikings
finally.
Oh, you're on.
It's
the
been
over?
So long. We have never been on an account bet the same. I love it. Yes.
Wait, are you on the under?
Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. I feel even better about it. I thought you were opposite. I was like, oh shit.
No.
Packers -5.5 at the Bears. The Bears are broken.
Done. Yep, that's
They're
another coach that's gone.
Eberflus is got. He's not gonna get fired by the end of the year, but he should be gone.
Yeah.
Niners -6.5 against the Seahawks. Niners might be back now that they have McCaffrey back. They're finally healthy. They lost Ayuk and then brought in Pearsall, and he's just as good.
They're a different team when they're healthy.
Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, I will take the Texans -7 at the Cowboys. The Cowboys stink.
Another dead
They're
team,
horrible.
another dead coach too.
Yep.
I too only have 4 locked in my account in the NFL. The NFL numbers are really wonky. The pros and Joes are on a lot of games, so the numbers are just way too high and moving all over the place. But I found some. Like I said, I got the Lions already at under 48.5. Oh, I actually have more because I've got a double banger here too in my account. The Saints and Browns game. The public is using their recency bias. The public only sees the Saints winning their last game. The Browns looking real ugly in their last game. Jameis should have had 10 interceptions. They also see 2 offenses that barely averaged 38 points. And there's that math again. 38 points a game, not as much as 44. That game's got to go under, right? Not so fast, my friends. The total has moved from 40 to 45.5, and then it just froze. I got it at 44. I'm going over 44. 65% of the bets are on the under. Sorry about that, guys. The Browns opened at +3. In some places, they've gone from dog to fave all the way to a -1. I've got them at +2. Give me all that reverse line movement. I got the Browns +2, and I got that game, Blake, going over. Look at me, over 44. I'm on the over train. On to the Broncos. Hopefully this game gets me my over 5.5. It should have got me my over 6.5. The public see the Broncos have lost 2 in a row, and they think the Falcons with the better record should be favored. However, despite 54% of the bets, this line opened -1. It's as high as 2.5. I would still take it at 2.5. I got it at 1.5. Broncos -1.5.
Love it.
Last but not least, our game, Blake. Vikes and the Tights. The public sees that this is a get-right spot for the Vikings. They think that they're ready to return to that 5-0 team that averaged 30 points a game. 39 is way too low. I think it's at 39.5 right now. However, despite 64% of the bets on this over, this line opened at 40, dropped to 39.5. I've got it at under 40 points. So there's I'm taking that. 2 tough
Titans
defenses.
Defense is
2
so
tough
good.
Defenses. There and the sneaky thing about it, again, when I get into the public and everything that they see, when you look at it at the surface, their numbers aren't the greatest, but they are hard-nosed, hard-fighting defense. They can put some pressure. You pressured. Sam Darnold's going Sam Darnold. Of course, this will be the game where he goes back to hitting Jefferson 18,000 times, but I think both these defenses can cause problems. And then here's where this game loses, Blake. Is if Billy Blue Jeans scores 14 points for the Vikings.
Your boy.
He kills me.
The thing with, like, even the Lions game, like, obviously they got smoked by the Lions. Lions put up, 56 on them?
Yep.
Here's the thing. The yards, there was, no yards. It was all special teams.
It's all special teams.
Special teams. Their defense is not bad. The Titans' defense is good.
They were one team that really punished Goff. They got to him. They hit him. Mm-hmm. He was limping that game. Got his ankle taped up. So hopefully they can do that. But yeah, that's it. That's it, folks. Hopefully we got our new customers some winners there.
Good luck this week, Mike.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we will be in touch this weekend. Yep. Saturday, I might need some updates from you.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be in a Christmas wonderland. So
that's true. You're gonna be at the Christmas Wonderland. I'll be down at Wayne State with our friend Sean watching the Wayne State game.
I told my wife I have to be back by 7:30 to watch Tennessee, Georgia. So that was my only stipulation.
Root on Tennessee. I like it. But I'll let you know, and then I'm sure I will be going crazy during that UTSA North Texas game.
I love it. All right,
buddy.
Until next week, we are out of here. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.